Sometimes in life, events happen which lead us to call the emergency services. These can range from things such as family members having a heart attack to reporting suspicious activity within our neighborhoods. Most of the time, these situations are resolved quickly. However, some of these situations are so horrible and gruesome that they leave dispatchers in a state of shock. With that being said, here are 3 of the most horrifying 911 calls from unsolved cases I've come across. Number 1. The Carrega murders. January 27th, 2017, Seebeck, Washington. The corpses of a well-known family are found in the recently burned down house. No movement besides the embers dancing in the middle of the smoldering rubble. 2 days later, a pickup truck is found which had also been set on fire. The father of the family is discovered inside with bullet holes riddling his body, ashes delicately settled on the vehicle. This case shook the community as the Carregas were widely regarded as a successful family. They even owned 2 popular businesses in Bremerton, Juanito's Taco Shop and Chrisdale's Java Hut. On the night of January 27th, 2017, this was the call received to 911.
Kids have 911 reporting.
My whole family shot me too.
What's the address?
Now.
What's the address?
That's no road. You know, Toledo Drive West.
No, that's no roll. Here's no.
That's no road. You know, Toledo Drive West. Come now.
What's the tonight? You said tonight. You said Tenino Drive West.
No road. Toledo Drive West.
Okay.
I'm Washington.
Okay. Listen.
I'm dying. I'm shot right now. My family's dead.
Who did it?
Someone came in. There's someone here with a gun. I don't know if you believe me. You need to come now.
How many people?
I don't know, bro. Just come, yo.
Where are you shot?
Come, man.
Where are you shot?
I'm shot, bro. I don't know where I'm.
The 911 call itself is haunting, but what police found when they arrived on the scene was even worse. The house had been lit on fire. Once firefighters were able to put it out, they made an even more chilling discovery. Inside the still smoldering home, Chrisdale Carrega and her 2 teenage boys were found dead, all 3 in separate rooms of the house. No movement was found besides the smoke and embers still circulating above their bloody bodies. The father of the family, Johnny Carrega, was nowhere to be seen, at least not then and there. 2 days later, he was found dead in his pickup truck. His body was covered in bullet holes. He'd been kidnapped. His truck had been set on fire and abandoned 9 miles away from his deceased family. 33 fully grown marijuana plants were left untouched inside the home. According to an associate of Johnny Carrega, hundreds of thousands of dollars had also been stashed. Out of all of this, only $60,000 had been recovered. It wouldn't be until almost a year later that a person of interest was found. A man named Mr. Kelly was seen in surveillance footage from a Target store in a nearby city. Kelly was wearing clothing associated with the Banditos Motorcycle Club, a well-known motorcycle gang. Finally, in 2020, the local police were able to confirm that the Banditos Motorcycle Club was directly involved with the quadruple homicide. Despite this, no one has been charged and this case has not been solved. Update as of 2022. During the making of this video, 3 suspects have been arrested. Danny J. Kelly Jr., Robert J. Watson III, and Johnny J. Watson have all pled not guilty to aggravated murder, arson, and burglary. Since the arrest of the 3, we now know that Mr. Carrega had been picking up kilos of cocaine from California and distributing them in Washington. A friend of his joined in on selling the drugs and eventually found suspect Robert Watson as a client. These events led Watson to join Carrega on a trip to California to pick up a kilo of cocaine. Unknown to Carrega, this trip would lead to the murder of his entire family. Sometime during the trip, the two began arguing. This argument would escalate until the day of the murders. Along with this, detectives uncovered something else. Robert Watson, who worked at Kitsap County Public Works, was fired after he stopped showing up. With that, it was found that Robert had deposited over $300,000 into his bank account in 2017, the same year as the brutal slayings. And in case you missed it, I did say earlier that hundreds of thousands of dollars went missing from the Carrega home. Security footage also shows Danny Kelly Jr. buying a burner phone from Target in Silverdale, Washington. According to police, this phone was used to coordinate drug deals with Mr. Carrega and eventually coordinate his family's untimely demise. Up until June 27, 2022, the three suspects had been set at a $20 million bail. This case is still technically unsolved, but with more evidence coming through, it may not be for long. Number 2. Wayne Greavette. Imagine walking to your mailbox and finding an early Christmas present. As you pull out the package, your mind begins to wonder, who could it be from? Grandma? An old friend? Possibly a secret admirer? Raindrops fall from the sky, hitting the top of your head and shoulders. Eventually, you enter your home where you are greeted by the people you love the most. With a smile spreading across your face, you sit down and unwrap the gift. It turns out to be a flashlight. A bit of confusion sets in as it's a strange present. In fact, you already have one. Nevertheless, you press the button. Nothing happens. Odd, considering the weight of the flashlight indicates the batteries are already inside. You pass the flashlight around to the people in the room. Moments later, it makes its way back to you. You press the button a few more times with no luck. Then, without warning, it explodes, causing shrapnel to rip deep into your flesh. Blood and bone fly through the air. Your loved ones panic, scream, and are left in a state of terror. This is exactly what happened to Wayne Greavette on the night of December 12, 1996. As the smoke cleared, his wife called 911. What you are about to hear is a recording of that call. If that recording by itself wasn't horrifying enough, a letter was included with the flashlight which read, "Have a very Merry Christmas and may you never have to buy another flashlight." Before we can look into this further, we need to look at who exactly Wayne Greavette was. Mr. Greavette was a self-employed man living on 104 acres of farmland in Ontario, Canada. Located on their property was an artesian well which Wayne and his family had planned to turn into a spring water company. Regarding the letter mentioned earlier, the bottom was signed William J. French. I'm sure you can already guess that this person doesn't exist, nor did the company the letter claimed to originate from. Despite all the fake details, there is one thing about the note that is real. Lisa and Joe, these are real people that Wayne knew. This means that whoever sent the bomb had to have known him on a level close enough to be familiar with his associates. Easy enough, just look at the people Wayne had fallings out with, right? Unfortunately, it isn't that easy, as Wayne had a large pool of enemies. He would get into many heated arguments with his business partners. On top of this, he was known to have affairs. Could this murder have been the result of a bitter associate, or maybe it was even a heartbreak he caused? Many of the people of interest have been eliminated through various alibis. With that being said, there are a few people of interest who still remain. Let's go ahead and take a look at the suspects. While working at Surge Beverage, Wayne was a junior partner with a man by the name of Ed Galick Sr. Wayne and Ed's business partnership ended in a nasty court battle. Eventually, Wayne started his own company and took many of Ed's customers with him. During investigation, Ed Galick Sr. was cooperative with police, taking 4 lie detector tests and providing a hair sample for forensics. Although his DNA was found in Wayne's farm, he claimed he didn't know how it got there. Ed Galick Sr. did admit that he knew Wayne was ripping off his customers after departing from Surge Beverage. Allegedly, Wayne would take money from clients up front and never finish the job promised. The amount of money taken per client would be in the ranges of $5,000 to $10,000. If this is true, this leaves an even larger pool of enemies, some who may have never been on police radar. When asked who he believes had the knowledge to build the bomb, Ed states the name of our next person of interest, his own son, Ed Galick Jr. Police questioned Ed Galick Jr. for a period of only 10 minutes. He declined to provide a DNA sample. Here's where things with these two get a bit confusing. Both father and son admitted that Wayne was like a son to Ed Galick Sr., seemingly more like a son than his own flesh and blood. With that being said, Ed Galick Sr. brought up the possibility that his son could have killed Wayne not only out of jealousy, but to inherit the family business. However, he also stated that his son would never do anything like that despite having the knowledge to build the bomb. Both admit they have a rocky relationship with each other, so it's hard to say what's really going on here. Neither of these two have been arrested for the murder. Both father and son seem to be more of a dead end than anything. Unfortunately, we are left with nothing except a sketch of 2 men who were seen asking for Wayne's address. These men were spotted at the local post office approximately a month before the bombing. To this day, no one knows who these men are. Whoever they are, they have skillfully covered their tracks, going so far as to overpay in postage to avoid the package being returned to them. I'd like to give more information, but unfortunately there isn't much to go on this case. However, I will say that it's bone-chilling to imagine boogeymen out there sending disguised bombs to kill people they don't like, as they did with Wayne. Before I go any further, I'd like to share an amazing novel on Amazon called The Junkyard Kids. With a bloodthirsty serial killer and a psychologically disturbed protagonist, this book is a tale of not only the most brutal sides of life this world has to offer, but one of redemption. After being homeless due to witnessing his parents' murder as a child, our protagonist and his younger brother group up with 3 other unwanted outcasts, eventually seeking shelter in a deserted junkyard. One night, 2 thugs stop by the junkyard. This leads him to not only witness another murder, but commit one in self-defense. Realizing the corrupt police officials of the city would never believe their story, he and his friends dump the bodies and the evidence in a nearby river. Unfortunately, they all realize they must leave the city, and soon. While attempting to escape, they stumble upon clues to the identity of the city's inactive serial killer, inadvertently resuming his killing spree in the process. Abandoning his original plan of escape, our protagonist decides to pursue the sadistic madman. I'm not going to go too deep and spoil the story, but I will say included in the novel are over 40 magnificent illustrations. As reader Loretta Lynn puts it, Junkyard Kids was a tale of the different variety, a dark, crazy variety, but oh man was it good. Regardless of if you buy this novel in hardback or ebook format, it does support the channel as well as myself. If you do make a purchase and enjoy the book, consider leaving a positive review on Amazon. I read all of them. Every review has a chance to be featured in one of my videos. And if this book sounds good, but you aren't sure, look for the thumbnail at the end of this video. It'll bring you to a reading of the first few chapters. With that being said, here's the next story. Number 3, Shannon Gilbert. In 2010, police searched for the body of a missing woman on Gilgo Beach in Babylon, New York. What they found instead were the corpses of 4 women. Two so badly decomposed that officers on scene couldn't even identify what gender they were. These 4 women were victims of the serial killer known as the Craigslist Ripper, who targeted prostitutes in the local area. In the end, the serial killer would claim the lives of 11 victims. 24-year-old Shannon Gilbert's disappearance sparked the search, which led officers to find the first 4 bodies. But what were the events leading up to this point? Or at least the events that we know about? To answer that, we're gonna have to travel all the way back to May 1st of 2010. It was around 1 a.m. on this warm night that Shannon was on her way to meet a Craigslist client by the name of Joseph Brewer in Oak Beach. She would be driven there by a man named Michael Pack. This is when things start to get strange. An hour later, the two arrive at the client's house, where Shannon then enters. In between the next 2 hours, Shannon and Pack called each other many times before Brewer would come out and ask Pack to remove Shannon from the premises. It was at this point that Pack enters the home to find Shannon, claiming they were trying to kill her. Pack was unsuccessful at getting Shannon from the home. Soon, Shannon hides behind a sofa and makes this 911 call.
State Police, Trooper Fry. State Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from?
Huh?
What phone number are you calling from?
Somebody's after me.
Shannon. Shannon.
Sometime during the call, Pack returned to his vehicle. At approximately 5 a.m., he sees her bursting out of the house, where she then falls down the stairs. Shannon then runs to a nearby neighbor and instructs him to call the police. While he does so, she runs and hides behind a nearby boat. Pack approaches the neighbor, explaining that she got upset at a party they were at. A few minutes later, Shannon runs off into the night, never to be seen alive again. Police would later claim that this was a drug-fueled episode of paranoia, that she tripped in a nearby marsh and drowned. However, a toxicology report would show that her system was absent of drugs and alcohol. They claim that this case was not one of murder and instead an unfortunate accident. This is despite the fact that parts of her toes, fingers, and even a small bone in her neck were missing. However, her heavily decomposed body was not discovered until over a year and a half later. Shannon was a known cocaine user. Being subjected to the elements all that time could have degraded her body tissue. With that being said, is it merely a coincidence that she ended up dead only a few miles from where the serial killer was dumping his victims? Not only that, but the serial killer targeted sex workers on Craigslist. Regardless of what actually happened, this mystery unraveled an even bigger one which, to this day, also has not been solved. The Gilgo Beach murders. Without the search of Shannon, detectives likely wouldn't have found the 10 bodies belonging to the Craigslist Ripper. What do you think actually happened to Shannon? Do you think her death was just an unfortunate accident? Or did she cross paths with a serial killer who hunted in the same area? Regardless, it seems this case won't be solved anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and consider subscribing. Also, if you have an idea for a topic you want to see me cover, please leave a comment down below and I will consider it. For those interested in the book mentioned earlier, it is available on Amazon in hard print or even as an ebook, link in the description. To hear a sample reading of the book, click the thumbnail on screen now.